Founders Day celebration and the 222nd birthday of Peter Cooper. For those of you that don't know, this is our second time at this location, but this is a banner year right now. We have a tremendous turnout. Almost 250 people here tonight. That's a record for us. Many young alumni here tonight. And before we go any further, I'd be amiss if I don't recognize some of the people who helped me and worked really hard on this event. Our events committee, Karina Tipton, who's sitting over there, who gets to stand up, my co-chair for this event. Sean Cusack, Alexis Lenza. I see more people back there, especially the class reps who we've asked to make personal asks for people to come and get the word out. Special thank you to Greg Sciano, who graduated last year, and he helped us put together the identity, the theme, and the invite for tonight's event. And he's looking at me right now. Noah McThieves, volunteer videographer, also alumnus. And our staff member is Madeline Kilrow for and Catlin Trammell, who's our director for alumni affairs. And for Joy, I'm going to introduce Peter Cafiero, president of the Alumni Association, and hope you guys have a great time.
Thank you, Rocco. Rocco is our vice president of activities and was the leader of the events committee that worked on this. And I just again want to thank you, Rocco, for everything you've done and for whatever you've been. To pull this together, the volunteers from the alumni and the staff from the school alumni relations have just been amazing in pulling this together. This is, as he said, the second year we've done it here. I think we've learned a little from last year, and we will continue to build on this as we go forward and focus on our amazing award winners that you'll hear more from shortly. Again, as Rocco mentioned, we're celebrating Peter Cooper's birthday and our honorees this evening. Our honorees are selected because of their notable achievements in advancing their respective fields, as well as service to the school and service to the Alumni Association. And we have some very special awardees that we'll talk about in a few minutes. I'd like to recognize, first of all, welcome President Bharucha, who is right here, who you'll hear from in a minute, and welcome you to your second Founders Day event, and hope that there will be many in the future. And recognize the vice presidents, the deans, faculty, and the members of the Board of Trustees that are here tonight. So thank you for coming, as well as the administrative leaders from the school. I'd like to thank also the Alumni Association Executive Committee and the Alumni Council, without whom all this wouldn't have happened, and who have been so supportive of everything that we've been doing in the last 2 years that we've been working on. So if the members of the Alumni Association Council and Executive Committee could raise your hands, just so people know where everybody is. I'd like to thank all of you, alumni, guests, honorees, family members, faculty, everyone who's here tonight, for your participation tonight, and we'll have a great evening. It's now my pleasure to again invite up President Jamshed Bharucha, who would like to say a few words.
Thank you, Peter. Cafiero, thank you Rocco, and Corinna, and others in the CUAA for organizing this. It's a fabulous location. I understand this is only the second year that you've tried this venue, and I think it is most fitting. I want to thank Kathleen Trammell and her staff as well for the hard work they put in doing this. Kathleen, as you know, is new, relatively, well, I guess a year old, and has already become a pro. First of all, please join me in wishing Peter Cooper a happy birthday. Those of you who are architects, and I guess even the civil engineers, know a lot more about this structure than I do. But certainly the idea of sitting beneath this glorious bridge, recently named after our late mayor, Ed Koch, is very, very important. As we all know, so many Cooper graduates have been instrumental in building New York City's infrastructure. And I know many of you, including Peter Cafiero, are involved with the city's infrastructure today. And there are others out there, I can't name them all. And I think Peter Cooper would have been very, very proud because he had a vivid imagination about the infrastructure for New York and its surrounding areas. He lived through the most extraordinary industrial development in history. In fact, from the beginning of the Industrial Revolution through some extraordinary developments. He was born the year Mozart died, and there really wasn't very much mechanization at the time. But even in the early to mid 19th century, he imagined all kinds of inventions, including mechanized ways of getting across the East River, including mechanized ways of getting up the Hudson and the soon-to-be Erie Canal. He would have been very, very proud of this infrastructure. In fact, he was so fascinated with thinking about transportation that he even thought about flying. Now, how many of you people knew that? So Peter Cooper, it turns out in the 1820s and 30s, was thinking about aerial navigation, as he described it. And he got together with his brother, who was a doctor, and they started playing with chemicals. As you know, he was self-taught, and he taught himself chemistry. And they discovered that putting together some kind of chlorine compound and some kind of nitrogen compound would create an explosive combination, and that could be the basis for actually flying. I'm not joking, that's true. And so they actually got together on a field and they tried to build the first flying device. I don't know what it looked like, I don't know what they thought it was like, but they actually sat there mixing these chemicals, expecting that they would be able to send something up into the air. Now, Peter Cooper, in today's jargon, we would say is an entrepreneur because he was a risk taker, and certainly in that episode he did, because he and his brother mixed these two chemicals. There was a massive explosion. His eye was severely damaged, which would remain damaged for the rest of his life, and he never touched aerial navigation again. But that's what entrepreneurship is all about, taking risks. Speaking of infrastructure, I would like, of course, the most important piece of infrastructure that has sustained Cooper Union from the Depression through the Depression into today is the Chrysler Building, which quite fortuitously was built on land that Peter Cooper's children gave to Cooper Union in around 1901 or 1902. And I would like to invite Al Greenberg up to present us with a painting that he has, which he will be donating to Cooper Union, that depicts the Chrysler Building in a certain setting in 1931. And of course, I'm sure all of you knew Marilyn Hoffner, Al's late wife, who was a beloved leader of our Alumni Association. And so I'd like to ask Al to come forward and we can hold up the plaque. So it says on it, Mr. William Van Allen goes to the 1931 Beaux-Arts Ball, dressed as his own Chrysler building. And I'll put it here somewhere so afterwards you can come by and take a look at it. Thank you very much, Alan. And we all remember Alan. Our awardees today represent really the very best of Cooper Union's alumni. And let me start by just expressing my condolences to the family of Regina Grant, who couldn't be with us today. Some members of her family are here with us. I went to the memorial service and I was really moved by the testimonials from people from different walks of different aspects of her life, and moved by what was said about her own life as an artist. Marianne Nichols is also probably known to everyone, and I have gotten to know her, and she's been a very, very important counselor and friend, a tremendous amount of wisdom. Michael Morris and Yoshiko Sato, again, extraordinary experience. And Harold Goldberg, who is really has done extraordinary things after graduating from Union and Engineering. He is the prototypical engineering leader, and I think that's the term that he himself has used to describe engineers who actually go out there and they don't, what he means by engineering leadership is not necessarily going into business, but nevertheless creating businesses, but staying engaged on the technical side. It's something really our country that needs more of, and Harold has been a very, very important counselor to me in the time that I've been here. And finally, the inimitable Steve Baker, Dean Baker. Has introduced me to so much of Cooper's soul and to hundreds of the students and alumni who regard him really as their beloved mentor. I think that Steve Baker is an absolute one of a kind. To have somebody like that who can have that kind of influence as a mentor, as a father figure to so many students is really quite extraordinary. He knows every student's name, he knows the GPA, he knows. I'm not even sure he's supposed to do that, but he knows it, okay? He knows their families, he knows their circumstances, and he's got this uncanny sense of when and how they need to be helped. And as we know, Cooper Union is a very, very tough curriculum, and he has been able to give a very warm experience to so many who have stuck with him for years. And I recently joined him and students up in Sutton, Quebec for their annual ski trip. I'm not much of a skier, but it was really to spend time with the students. I'll end by just thanking the students who are going to be introducing the awardees today. I've come to know all of them, and they really are, I would want to say they represent the best of Cooper students, but then Cooper students across the board are astonishing, and they're really representative. Julie Harris, Shay Perez, Andrew Crutch, and Yoon Shin, all really student leaders.